Recording in progress.
We're not doing anything today, right?
After church, no, we don't have a group plan.
No, we've canceled.
Right, but the church isn't doing anything, is it?
We haven't.
Did we used to do like a breakfast?
Yeah, the men made breakfast. But the women that helped with the men's stuff decided that wasn't worth it. I'm being honest.
Because they were doing it all.
Yeah. And the men served and they did a great job and had smiley faces, but it was too much for the women.
The
that
ones
had
who
to-
actually cooked to prepare the meal.
No offense to the men who served and helped.
It wasn't going to.
Not my decision.
I don't know why my breathing's so rough today.
It doesn't it, the humidity affect it?
No, I don't know what it, well, it could be. But as I stated, I don't know why. So anyway. Sally Ann's iPad, so my. Oh. Why? Okay, open us in prayer. Would you, Renee, please?
And thank you for the safety that you provided us this week. And I pray that you would just be with Don as he brings us the lesson and his learnings this morning, and please touch his lungs and help his breathing as he speaks to us.
Amen. Okay, you faded at the end.
Sorry. Amen.
Okay. Go 14. Is where we are.
Can you share the screen?
Great.
Oh, thank you. I'm always forgetting something.
Sorry,
is
I say please.
All right. 14. Job, still in the middle of Job's rejoinder. Nick, oh wait. Nick,
Yeah.
can you read that?
Oh, that's good.
One more. There we go.
Thank you. I really can't do that without it being blurred. Man who is born of a woman is few of days and full of trouble. He comes out like a flower and withers. He flees like a shadow and continues not. And do you open your eyes on such a one and bring me into judgment with you? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? There is not one. Since his days are determined and the number of his months is with you, and you have appointed him.
Who's he talking to?
I have no
He's
idea.
gotta be yelling at God.
Who's he?
I would assume he's yelling at God, because I mean, who else appoints your days?
Right.
That he cannot pass. He's yelling at God at this point. I would be.
Yeah, but what did you say?
He's yelling at God at this point.
Thus far you shall not pass.
Yeah.
Did we get a little hobbit thrown in there?
Yeah.
Very much.
You shall not pass. And you have.
You have appointed his limits that he cannot pass. Look away from him and leave him alone, that he may enjoy like a hired hand his day. For there is hope for a tree. If it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that its shoots will not cease. Though its roots grow old in the earth, and its stump dies in the soil, yet at the scent of water it will bud. Oh yeah, it will bud and put out branches like a young plant. But a man dies and it's laid low. Man breathes his last, and where is he? As waters fail from a lake,
I can't make it any bigger.
no, I'm sorry, and a river wastes away and dries up. So a man lies down and rises not again, till the heavens are no more, He will wake or be roused out of his,
He will not awake.
oh, he will not awake, sorry, and be roused out of his sleep. Oh, that you would hide me in the shed.
Okay, so
of Sheol.
what's he denying?
Heaven.
Resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, there is no concept of heaven. That's what Sheol is.
right. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol, that you would conceal me until your wrath be past, that you would appoint me a set time and remember me. If a man dies, shall he live again? All the days of my service, I would wait till my renewal should come. You would call and I would you would call and I would answer you. You would long for the work of your hands, for then you would number my steps. You would not keep my watch over sin. My transgression would be sealed up in a bag, and you would cover over my iniquity. But the mountain falls and crumbles away, and the rock is removed from its place. The waters wear away from the stones. The torrents wash away the soil of the earth. So you destroy the hope of man. You prevail forever against him as he passes. You change his countenance and send him away. His sons come to honor, and he does not know it, and are brought low, and he perceives it not. He feels only the pain of his own body, and he mourns only for himself.
Okay. So you have an unfair advantage, God. So Eliphaz is not going to like this. He's going to say you're full of crap. So Kenny,
Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, should a wise man answer with windy knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? Should he argue in unprofitable talk or in words with which he can do no good? But you are doing away with the fear of God and hindering meditation before God. For your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Your own lips testify against you. Are you the first man who was born? Or were you brought forth before the hills? Have you listened in the counsel of God, and do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that is not clear to us? Both the gray-haired and the aged are among us, older than your father. Are the comforts of God too small for you, or the word that deals gently with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flash, that you turn your spirit against God and bring such words out of your mouth? What is man that he can be pure? Or he who is born of a woman that he can be righteous? Behold, God puts no trust in his holy ones, and the heavens are not pure in his sight. How much less one who is abominable and corrupt, a man who drinks injustice like water?
okay, this is very supportive. But so even the supernatural beings, he doesn't trust. And of course, I didn't hear it, or his own mouth condemned him, but Eliphaz did. Okay,
So I'm guessing that Eliphaz should say, just because of the way you're speaking about God makes you unjust.
pretty much.
Not any.
I will show you, hear me, and what I have seen I will declare. What wise men have told without hiding it from their fathers, to whom alone the land was given, and no stranger passed among them. The wicked man writhes in pain all his days, through all the years that are laid up for the eagles. Dreadful sounds are in his ears. To prosperity, the destroyer will come upon him. He does not believe that he will return out of darkness, and he is marked for the sword. He wanders abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knows that a day of darkness is ready at his hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They prevail against him. Like a king ready for battle, because he has stretched out his hand against God and defies the Almighty, running stubbornly against him with a thickly bossed shield, because he has covered his face with his fat and gathered fat upon his waist, and has lived in desolate cities, in houses that none should inhabit, which were ready to become heaps of ruins. He will not be rich, and his wealth will not endure, nor will his possessions spread over the earth. He will not depart from darkness. The flame will dry up his shoots, and by the breath of his mouth he will depart. Let him not trust in emptiness, deceiving himself, for emptiness will be his payment. It will be paid in full before his time, and his branch will not be green. He will shake off his unripe grape like the vine, and cast off his blossom like the olive tree. For the company of the godless is barren, and fire consumes the tents of bribery. They conceive trouble and give birth to evil, and their womb prepares deceit.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Just being honest.
What does it say in the Hebrew right there?
Well, the English is accurate, but it's just
Who's he talking about when he talks about like
exactly.
evil? Is he talking about a Satan? Is he talking about a demon? Is he talking about Job?
I'm assuming he's talking about Job. Well, I have no idea where this is. I don't. But pretty much, you suck, Job. Okay.
Like the more he protests, the more offensive his friend gets.
Their reply is the same every time. And Job's going, well, I'm glad you're here. Kevin,
Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things, miserable comforters are you all.
Thanks,
you think?
appreciate it.
Shall windy words have an end?
So notice how they echo each other. He said windy words, so he's throwing it back at him.
Or what provokes you that you answer? I also could speak as you do, if you were in my place. I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. I could strengthen you with my mouth and the solace of my lips with a assuage your pain. If I speak, my pain is not assuaged. And if I forbear, how much it leaves me. Surely now God has worn me out. He has made desolate all my company, and he has shriveled me up, which is witness against me, and my leanness has risen up against me. It testifies to my face. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He has gnashed my teeth. He has gnashed his teeth at me, and my adversaries sharpened his eye against me. Men have gaped me at me with their mouth. They have struck me insolently on my cheek. They mask themselves together against me. God gives me up to the ungodly and casts me into the hands of the wicked. I was at ease, and he broke me apart, and he seized me by the neck and dashed me into pieces. And he set me up as his target. His archers surround me. He slashes open my kidneys and does not spare me. He pours out my gall on the ground.
Okay, pause. I'm pausing. So he says, oh God, you have ground me down, but then he says, you made me your target. So he's saying, God, you're doing this to me,
Mhm.
Yes.
not you're allowing this to happen to me, but you are the person who's causing all this pain. Okay, I just want to make sure
Yeah, that's been from the beginning.
I don't see that you can't make that argument. I mean, if you're permitting it, it's one of those things. So for instance, you're in a classroom, right? You're technically in charge, but God's a lot more in charge than what we are. You see one student slap another, you kind of deserved it a bit.
Mhm.
You allowed it to happen. In a way, I mean, so it's permitted, but the person will ask you, may I have permission to slap this guy? You go, yes, that's what God said. God said yes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because Job would have been admitted to the hospital. Here in present day for, safety of himself and others.
So what do we know about Job prior to this? Anything?
Just what he said, that he was a wise man and he's one of the richest men in the world. What? The boy can talk.
So he's an Israelite, right?
Actually, he's a non-Israelite, but that's okay.
I was just saying, 'cause they whine all the time.
But here's the thing, like, he's been silent for days prior to this, like it talks about for a while, everybody's just sitting for a bit, and somebody goes, all right, you're gonna sit here all day or what? And then Joe kind of like says, well, I'm kind of beating down here, and then they just kind of keep going back and forth at each other.
Breaks me with breach upon breach. He runs upon me like a warrior. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin and have laid my strength in the dust.
What's he doing? What is that language?
Good morning.
Yeah,
My face is red with weeping and on my eyelids is deep darkness, although there is no violence in my hands and my prayer is pure. O earth, cover not my blood and let me cry, find no resting place. Even now, behold, my witness is in heaven, and he who testifies for me is on high. My friends scorn.
no, that's an odd thing. We don't know what he's referring to.
Like the angel person?
No,
It could be.
My friends scorn me, my eye pours out tears to God, that he would argue the case of a man with God, as a son of man does with his neighbor.
so is he looking for a mediator here, looking for somebody to testify?
Well, he's claiming that somebody's up there arguing his side, and then he wants to have a case with God. The two are
Which is
kind of tangential. What?
What Jesus does for us.
Right, exactly.
But there is no Jesus here, so it's
Not yet.
like laying the groundwork for this is why we need him.
Yeah.
22.
When a few years come, I shall go the way from which I shall not return.
So Job talks, he talks for a while. He goes on and on. And that's why we're doing it. Jenny.
I'm sorry. I need to read it. My Bible doesn't have big words like yours does. My spirit is broken, my days are extinct, the graveyard is ready for me. Surely there are mockers about me, and my eye dwells on their provocation. Lay down a pledge for me with you. Who is there who will put up security for me?
Well, that's loan language. He's talking about co-signing a loan. I have no idea why.
Oh, so you're saying a pledge for me is like monetary?
Yeah, he's
Just lay down, but
he's co-signing a loan.
Okay.
Since you have closed their hearts to understanding, therefore you will not let them triumph. He who informs against his friends to get a share of their property, the eyes of his children will fail. Right, his kids like saying, okay, this is mine and this is mine. He has made me a byword of the peoples, and I am one before whom men spit. My eye has grown dim from vexation, and all my members are like a shadow. The upright are appalled at this, and the innocent stirs himself up against the godless. Yeah, the righteous holds to his way, and he who has clean hands grows stronger and stronger. But you come on again, all of you, and I shall not find a wise man among you. My days are past, my plans are broken off, the desires of my heart.
They make night into day. The light, they say, is near to the darkness. If I hope for Sheol as my house, if I make my bed in darkness, if I say to the pit, you are my father, and to the worm, my mother or my sister, where then is my hope? Who will see my hope? Will it go down to the bars of Sheol? Shall we descend together into the dust?
Okay. What do you do with that? He's depressed.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no hope in what he's saying.
We can go back just a little bit, so. Okay, so it's saying if I say to the pit, so if I look for it here, right, if I hope for Sheol, what's my house, if I make my bed. So if I do these things, then there is no hope. So if I'm asking for a death, then in a way, if I'm seeking it here, I'm not going to find hope anywhere.
Bildad, whom we've heard from before. Nikki's mom. Can you read?
Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, how long will you hunt for words? Consider, and then we will speak. Why are we counted as cattle? Why are we stupid in your sight? You who tear yourself in your anger.
Now, where do they get you're stupid by sight? At some point, you got to go, are they even listening to each other? They quote each other, but it's like I don't see where he called them stupid.
Well, didn't someone say earlier, we have, it sounded to me like you keep giving advice, and yet there are gray-haired and.
Right, we're old and
Yeah. So
wisdom too, but is it just me or did it get freezing in here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. All right, verse 4.
Tear yourself in your anger, shall the earth be forsaken for you?
Hey, Kevin, can you turn it up? I'm freezing.
The rock be removed out of its place. Indeed, the light of the wicked is put out, and the flame of his fire does not shine. The light is dark in his tent, and his lamp above him is put out. His strong steps are shortened, and his own schemes throw him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walks on its men.
So again, traditional wisdom stuff. That's all they can throw at each other. Or he throws at them. The friends do. Interesting. All right.
Trap seizes him by the heel, the snare lays hold of him. The rope is hidden for him in the ground, a trap for him in the path. Terrors frighten him on every side and chase him at his heels. His strength is famished and calamity is ready for his stumbling. It consumes the parts of his skin. The firstborn of death consumes his limbs. He is torn from the tent in which he trusted and is brought to the king of terrors. In his tent dwells that which is none of his. Sulfur is scattered over his habitation. His roots dry up beneath, and his branches.
Hold on. I'm curious what the word for sulfur is.
That's smelly, that's.
Does sulfur cleanse though?
Brimstone. Okay. I'm just curious.
To cleanse, right? His roots dry up beneath and his branches wither above. His memory perishes from the earth and he has no name in the street. He is thrust from light into darkness and driven out of the world. He has no posterity or progeny among his people, and no survivor where he used to live. They of the west are appalled at his day, and horror seizes them of the east. Surely such are the dwellings of the unrighteous, such is the place of him who knows not God.
Okay. I conclude you don't know God.
That would be hurtful.
What?
That would be hurtful.
It would indeed.
Can I just throw something in before she starts to read? You know, we all think about sin, really as sins of the flesh, you know, things that we do that people can see. But could Job maybe be guilty of, I call it the privacy sin, you know, this is the only privacy we really have in our heads. You know, could,
I don't think we can make an argument because we had the narrator and God both advocated that he was just and upright. So otherwise I would say yes. And I think that maybe that's why the Friends are trying to push this so much on the whole, like, well, obviously you sinned because of this. Because
I
it's gonna happen.
I think people do that because they can't come up with an explanation.
right,
So to save their own faith and their own feelings about God, they say this.
Yeah, say their theology.
Save their own theology, yeah, so, well, listen, my God would heal me if I was in this situation, so it must be on you.
Job, I think I said, don't y'all have something to do?
Thanks for coming by, but I'm okay.
It's the same thing of like, remember when, not Seattle, the Louisiana had the hurricanes and it came back.
Trina,
Thank you. After Katrina, when that next hurricane came back, they were like trying to figure out why did this happen? And there were theologians saying it's because of their sin that they received this whole city. It's a city of sin, and so they received this calamity over their city. So, I mean, I think we do that.
when I had my first baby, it was stillborn. And my gynecology was a great Christian. And one day when I was in his office, he just said to me, Barbara, is there some sin that you have in your life that could have caused this? And I was shocked. And I just looked at him and I said, I have never done anything that would require someone's life. So no. But then I found the book, What Happens When Bad Things Happen to Good People by Rabbi Harold Kushner. And it was so liberating for me. You know, because he basically said, God put the world into motion. And there are things that happen, you know, he's not really a micromanager like you think he is. He has the ability to be. But, you know, like if a woman's walking down the street and somebody falls off of a window cleaning job and smashes her and they're both dead. Is it because they were both sinners or because he didn't tie himself to them? You know, there are things like that, which I would call like calamities that happen that God doesn't micromanage. Now he could if he wanted that woman there for another purpose, but you know, that he set the world into motion. And then there are things too that we do to ourselves, you know, like I know a lot of people that were into drugs heavily when they were younger. And then later on in life, you know, they can't do certain things. They're part of their memory's gone. And that's because of things they did in the past. They're probably forgiven of it, but it still has an effect on the body and the genes and all of that.
my reply to Kushner is this, though. It's the scandal of the miracle. What he says is true if that were consistent. But in point of fact, people get healed. And you're going, well, I once saw a guy in a wheelchair get healed of a cold. Not of being in the wheelchair. And I was going, I'm pretty sure he'd keep the cold and get out of the wheelchair. I mean, it's rare. You don't see healings much at all, but you do occasionally see them. And if they occur at all, it throws a monkey wrench in that, into Kushner's perspective. Because God is not indifferent, and he does interfere. And, well,
Have you read the book?
no,
He didn't say that he was indifferent. He just said the world is set into motion.
no, I understand that. It's a kind of a deist approach. And all I'm arguing is, if God interferes at all, that throws a monkey wrench. Because why here and not there? And there's no answer to it. I have. And I think that's going to be the point of the book of Job. God does interfere at times. He does heal. He does interfere, for lack of a better word. But not always. So why does he? And when does he? What?
So we have stories like Job.
Yeah, At least part, well, we'll see. Everything's gonna change when we get to God's answer. Okay, which unfortunately it's a few chapters from now.
Four more chapters of this, you know.
Saying, can we skip to the end?
This has a lot of modern day relevance, you know, like it is very common that when bad things happen to somebody, that other people kind of pile. You know, like when someone loses their job, you know, it's not uncommon for people to say, you know what, I'm surprised they kept that job as long as they did. I would have never hired them. I think they're lazy, blah, blah, blah. Or if someone's kid doesn't turn out exactly though to fit the ideal mold, you know, we pile on and, you know, we say, you know, whatever, if you'd have done a better job, yeah. If you'd have done a better job being a mother on Mother's Day, you know, like, and it just really takes one person to be a light. Like, if Job had one person in his circle who was a light to him instead of piling onto him, how different would this book have been? And I think the modern day application for us is, you know, it just takes one person to be empathetic and supportive and sensitive to the struggle that people maybe have.
I see this as a good, quite frankly, I love Joe for the fact that it feels like it's okay to cuss at God and tell him he's wrong. I need that.
Yeah.
I really do. I sometimes need to take a minute and I need to tell, this is not right, it's not just, I've not done it. And I know full well I may be wrong in doing that, and I'm that, okay, I'm that. I can both be the child that realizes that, you know, I'm being unkind to God in this moment, that maybe I'm not speaking well of God or what some theology might be. And that yes, God has his grander plan, but right now, I'm not okay with it. There are times that I'm not okay with God. And that has to be all right. I think Job is like saying, I think because at the end we get to the point where God's like, you have not, speaking to the friends, you have not spoken well of me as Job has. Job at least is honest about it. Like, I'm not okay with God right now.
But aren't we gonna see a little bit later on that the way Job figures this out is he draws closer to God? He becomes.
And that's the chess.
Right, I mean, and that's where we're going. 30
Yes.
years from now.
It's not quite that bad, but it's 20 chapters anyway.
Like, let me draw closer to you. Why have you abandoned me? Is it something that I did? Help me understand, help me become more intimate with you. I think that's where we're going, right?
Yeah. Well, it's first verse there. Who's up?
How long will you torment me?
Well, there you go. That's.
Way more.
And break me in pieces with words. These 10 times you have cast reproach upon me. Are you not ashamed to wrong me? And even if it be true that I have erred, my error remains with myself. If indeed you magnify yourselves against me and make my disgrace an argument against me, know then that God has put me in the wrong and closed his net about me. Behold, I cry out, violence, I am not answered. I call for help, but there is no justice. He has walled up my way so that I cannot pass, and he has set darkness upon my paths. He has stripped from me my glory and taken from the crown.
And taking the
crown
crown.
from my head. He breaks me down on every side, and I am gone. And my hope has he pulled up like a tree. He has kindled his wrath against me and counts me as his adversary. His troops come on together. They have cast up their siege ramp against me and encamp around my tent. He has put my brothers far from me, and those who knew me are wholly estranged from me. My relatives have failed me. My close friends have forgotten me. The guests in my house and my maidservants count me as a stranger. I have become a foreigner in their eyes. I call to my servant, but he gives me no answer. I must plead with him with my mouth for mercy. My breath is strange to my wife, and I am a stench to the children of my own mother. Even young children despise me. When I rise, they talk against me. All my intimate friends abhor me, and those whom I loved have turned against me. My bones stick to my skin and to my flesh, and I have escaped by the skin of my teeth. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on me, oh you, my friends, for the hand of God has touched me. Why do you, like God, pursue me? Why are you not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book. Oh, that with an iron pen and lead, thank you, they were engraved in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and at the last he will stand upon the earth. And after my skin has been thus destroyed, yet in my flesh I shall see God.
Now, see, this is odd. Nothing in the theology has hinted at this up to now. So we don't know what he's making reference to. Do some think like that? Yeah. Apparently he does. We will see. But my Redeemer lives? That's new. So,
Whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another. My heart faints within me.
so I'm going to see God, he says. That will come back to us.
If you say, how we will pursue him, and the root of the matter is found in him. Be afraid of the sword, for wrath brings the punishment of the sword, that you may know there is a judgment.
All right, it's 10:11. So we're going to stop here.
So, I mean, I know I missed a little bit in, but didn't Satan cause most of this? I mean, wasn't that first, I'll let you do this, but you can't do. So why didn't Satan taking any,
Because who gave him permission?
but I mean, he keeps saying, I mean, in God's cross.
Ultimately, because God gave him permission, the responsibility lies with God. That's why. The actual agency, he's not blaming the club. He's blaming the hand holding the club. Satan's just a club. Okay, just a tool. Remember at the end of all that, and in all this, Job did not err in blaming God. No, he was right. Now again, this is a parable, but the point is, at least part of it is, we don't know enough to know what's going on with the problem of evil. That's essentially part of the message of this book is, no, you think you have it figured out, but just when you do, there'll be enough of a wrinkle to cast doubt on that. So just sit back. We don't know. We don't know. That will be the message. And at the end it will be, oh, the revelation of God didn't answer my questions. It rendered my questions pointless, which is a different thing altogether. That's where Job's going to end up. And you go, huh? Things that make you go, huh? Arsenio Hall. You remember Arsenio Hall? You don't. Young pup.
I'm a little, the more I read about like the new wave of Christianity that's coming through younger people, like we have kids that were raised with our daughter in the church with the same beliefs that we were brought up in. They were brought up in the Nazarene church just like our kid was, and they've got like this new view of Christianity. And I'm like, they need to read this chapter because this is not going to line up with their I hate to use the word woke, it seems so cliche, but their woke way of how the world should work in the Christian view. I don't know, I'm concerned about what's gonna happen to them and their faith the first time they hit a major speed bump in life.
Well, we all do.
Right.
That's the part of the problem. All right, so 10:14, and we are in chapter 20. We're getting there, Renee.
This is like the second one of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I'm just walking.
Talking or whining.
Okay. Josh, would you close us in prayer, please? Oh, wait a minute. Stopping the sharing. Oh, that's what I meant to stop.